So now the second stage, okay, let's put something for black as well, some kind of system. Okay, actually the queen's not developed in this system, but since black is one move behind, you have to try to react to what white is doing. So you're battling for the center at the start. And as soon as you've developed all your pieces, you have to try to come up with some strategy. Do you want to attack on the king side, on the queen side? Do you want to attack the center? Do you want to go to attack pieces? Do you want to go for king's attack? Basically go for mate, which is the ultimate goal, obviously. It becomes tactical, which means that now you have to calculate a lot more. If I make this move, he does this move, I do this move, and so on. So you're trying to win pieces or positional advantage. Now, positional advantage is the strategic part of the game because it's more mid to long term, whereas tactical is short term. You're trying to win a pawn, you're trying to win, I don't know, a knight, a bishop, anything really. And the strategical things would be more, you're trying to get some kind of weakness in the king's position before you go for an attack later on. So in this case, I don't know, if we take away a few pieces, usually this happens in the game somehow, and you end up, the queens are gone, this is gone, and you end up with this kind of a position. There we go. So this is maybe somewhere on the edge between mid-game and end-game. You've exchanged a lot of pieces, and as a result of this, you're up one pawn now. White has one pawn more than black. So the whole question is how, with very limited pieces to the left, how do you employ a technique to basically go for the overall win? It's very difficult to checkmate in most of the endgame situations. Whereas, you know, in mid-game, there's still a lot of pieces, so you could go for a deadly attack on the king side, maybe, and try to checkmate the other person. In this position, it's not that easy anymore. So what you're trying to do now is you're trying to develop, exchange some more pieces, and basically hope that you can push one of the pawns through to develop it, to convert it into a queen, and then go for a standard win after that. But this takes a lot of technique. There's a lot of situations, and this is not as creative anymore as the mid-game is. Because the mid-game, there's so many pieces, it's impossible to calculate most of the things. In the end game, it's actually few pieces, so you can calculate pretty much, if I do this, he does this, and so on. So the true masters of the game of chess are usually considered to be masters of the end game. Because one small error in the end game can basically end the game. Whereas in the mid-game, since there's so many pieces, you still have time later on to win a piece back. Here, usually, if you make one mistake, even if it's just a small one, if you lose a pawn, the game could be pretty much over. So in these situations, what you try to do, you try to look at Grandmaster's game. In the endgame, what kind of technique do they use? What kind of known scenarios or known positions can you get into, which you know how to win them? So these are still a few pieces. If you take even more pieces away, this is classical. If you have king against king with one pawn, which is on the side, if the black king is in front of the pawn, there's no way white can win. This is always a draw. And the reason behind it is, I mean, you go check, you go here, now you have to protect it. If you move away, it's gone. So the whole point is you can't push this pawn through to the end. You just keep going, and you get to this point. If you move this now, it's stalemate. There's no way that black can get anywhere, and there's no way that white can advance. I mean, if you don't move the pawn, if you move some kind of king movement, the black can keep moving away. So in this situation, you know, if you play it correctly as black, if you control this square till the end, that you'll basically hold a draw, even though you're down a pawn. And this is just one example. Now there are millions of examples, millions of situations that you kind of have to know, and how to convert this into a draw or into a win in the end. That's called technique. So you try to assemble a large arsenal of situations that you know, and try to get your position from the mid game into one of those that you do know.